Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your first online session, Wednesday, February 7th. I am hopeful that you all received the email earlier today about meeting online. I just thought it would be best to give yourself a little bit more time in case you had to come to campus after, when our class would normally meet. But this will work out fine. This gives you an opportunity to see what is called a screencast, which is what I'm using right now to actually record our session. I've also set up an online Collaborate session, which will run from 12:30 to 1 in case you have any questions, and I'll talk to you about that in a little bit. But for now, I really just want to emphasize that today is about exploration and asking questions related to data and equity and how to find out about schools. So really, I know that you won't be able to understand everything that you are looking at today, but that's okay. Today is really about just learning at your own pace and finding the right questions to ask. The objectives for today are to use online resources to gather data about school demographics, to identify key demographics related to equity issues, to compare data from a school that you select to other schools and around the country and actually national data as well, and then to discuss some of your findings and thoughts on your group's discussion board. So the question is, how can we learn about how equitable a school system is? And again, if you can recall back to Monday, some of the equity issues that we discussed included race and religion, teacher qualifications, English language learners, free and reduced meals, the kinds of resources that we provide special education students, and of course access to technology. So some of these pieces of information will be available for you to look at online. Some won't, some might be more difficult to find than others, but we're going to focus on a few and see what you can find out. So the first thing that you're going to do is go into our week 2 folder. We're going to start with the very first link, which is the Maryland report card, to learn more about a particular school of your choice. If you did not go to a Maryland school, then you can ask a friend to suggest one or find your own state's report card. I know New Jersey has a pretty good one. And if you went to a private school, maybe in Maryland, maybe you can look at the public school you would have gone to. You can also think about where you might want to do an internship here in Maryland, through Towson University. So that might also be a good option for you. But for today, we are going to use the Maryland report card, so just to keep it simple. So some of the kinds of things that you're going to find in that report card include demographic breakdowns, attendance, scores on different standardized testing, how many qualified teachers are in that school, graduation rates, the number of English language learners, and farm students. So again, I don't necessarily expect you to look up all of this information, but as much of it you can would be great so that you have more to compare and more to talk about later on. So let me just take a moment to bring you out to our website, our Blackboard site, so you can see what I'm talking about. So again, today we're in our week 2 folder. This is right here, this is the presentation that I'm going through right now. So if you need time to look it over again, then you can do that. And this is the Maryland report card website. So once you're on here, you can look at a particular school based on county, or if I think they're all actually by count. I don't know why the state is there, but the county and school is broken up by the same way. So you can look up particular schools that way. Here you'll also notice some of the data, again, that's on this site, including the standardized assessments, the different demographics, the different graduation rates, and where some of our students and how many of our students go to college after high school, as well as, dropout rates. I forgot about that. So this is some information that I would like for you just to investigate, just to kind of just see a baseline of, what your school had or what they didn't have. So once you have written down, and I don't have any place specifically or any special template, just jot down some notes. Again, this is about exploration. So once you explore your particular Maryland school, I'm going to ask you then to go into one of the folders I created in week 2 called a Look at Poorer Public School Demographics. The idea here is then to kind of poke around, right, and compare to see, for example, as I wrote here, if your English language learner percentage at Perry Hall High School was 10%, how does that compare to some of the information you might find in the other data sets? Specifically about poorer schools. Again, you're not going to understand all of the data, but just to see what's out there, to see the kind of data that exists and what that data might eventually tell us. Once you've done that, again, writing down notes wherever you can so that you can talk about it, the idea is that you're going to comment and talk on a discussion board. So I'm back into our Blackboard site. And for this, I'm actually going to go to your section, which is the Monday, Wednesday. And if you click on Group Tools, the group discussion board, you'll see that I have created, this is your Animoto discussion. But here, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to write about some of your initial thoughts when you looked up information about your school. Maybe something surprising, anything that changed maybe from when you were there, or your perceived understanding from when you were there, or was there anything that intrigued you or confused you? And then how did the school you learned about initially, the Maryland school, compare to the data from the lower income schools or the national data? What were some of the biggest gaps? Were you able to make any connections between socioeconomic status and student achievement? And if so, what were those? And if not, what other information might you need? And maybe there are some other things that you think would be important discussion starters, and by all means, I would encourage you to include those. What I would like for you to do is by Monday, so you really do have quite a bit of time, I'd like for you to comment and respond to at least 2 other posts. As always, you are in college, you're going to be teachers, so of course I expect thoughtful, meaningful, and well-written responses that reflect your initial exploration. And so be specific as possible. I'd like to know that you did the work and that you're not just talking off the cuff in this particular post. I think that's it. So again, this is notes about just going to the discussion board. And then this is just how you can contact me. So my email address, my phone number. And as I mentioned before, I have created it's called Collaborate. And this is the first time that I've used this edition. So as I say here, I'm not sure how great it will work, but I'm completely up for the challenge. And if you want to try it, that would be great. I'll include this link in our week 2 folder, so it's a little easier to access. But I will be there. I'm not sure how you'll get there through the link. And again, I'll hang out there for a good half an hour or so just to see if anybody shows up, and then we can, I can hopefully answer questions, and I'll be there as a live video person. So I haven't really showered yet today, but that's okay. I'll do my best to look presentable through the video. And I think that's it. So I hope you enjoy the process. Again, today is just about learning the kinds of data that's out there, and then how eventually we'll move into how that data can support our work around equity. Needless to say, we're not going to get to our equity project this week, and that's okay. We'll move that to next week. So I guess I can make that note. No equity project this week. Actually, no group equity project this week. All right. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and I look forward to seeing you all on. Oh, I don't know what happened there. I look forward to seeing you all on Monday. All right. Take care. Contact me if you have any questions. Bye.